Hi, everyone. Hey, thanks for joining today. My name is Melissa Schaefers. I'm an associate product manager at Lean Law. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about invoicing workflows. Excited. I think, yeah, that's the right screen. Awesome. Um, yeah, so like I said, I'm a product manager at Lean Law. I think I'm coming up on 2 years working for Lean Law, and working with lawyers and billing coordinators and everyone else. Um, I started in our support department. So some of you maybe have spoken to me there if you've been in our support team chat before. Um, but I'm super excited today. We have some new features I'd like to talk to you about for invoicing and invoice emailing, um, and just reducing the complexity of the workflow for your firm. So yeah, like I said, I started in the support department pretty much the first 3 months that I was here. If you can imagine like getting a call from your friend, and they need help with something, and they're like, yeah, I have to go give someone a well child checkup at a doctor's office. And then I'm grading some homework uh with a teacher, and then I'll need to change the tires on my work truck after that. Um, that's pretty much how it felt the first 3 months, getting chats from billing coordinators and legal administrators and solo folks running their own law firm with the breadth and depth of different tasks that they had to do every day just to complete their job. Things like accounting, financial reporting, client relationship management. Obviously, a lot of legal administrators are kind of doing double duty with legal assisting and actually flexing into their role as a legal administrator from doing actual legal work product. Um, there is a lot of context switching here, and it's amazing. I mean, I was just totally in awe when I first started, like how much everyone was uh, working and how expertly they navigated all this context switching. The problem, of course, though, is when you have all of these different tasks that you're like flexing between and switching between, and you're getting interruptions from people who need questions answered, maybe other folks you're training or the attorney that you're working for, um, you can get into a situation where your process is a little disjointed, and mistakes can be made kind of in that space. If you think about when you're working on a project and you realize you need something and you walk into another room and you're like, why did I walk in here? That can be happening uh, digitally when you're working on your computer and jumping between a bunch of different programs. So that's one of the things that we're hoping that this feature set will help eliminate and reduce so that this is a more like streamlined process for everyone. We're going to be talking about like some of the issues with invoicing that I have seen that have been reported to us. Some of our new functionality, our new invoicing emailing workflow, and then that should take about 30 minutes with Q&A. And afterwards, if you're interested in learning more about Lean Law's integration with Confido Legal, you can stay after, and I'll be talking about some of the setup for that, um, and pricing and how that can help and all that good stuff. So without further ado, um, one of the main issues is when you're working with a law firm is that not everyone in the firm has access to QuickBooks. So that is kind of the accounting source of truth. QuickBooks Online is made for lawyers. Excuse me, QuickBooks Online is made for accountants. That's who the interface is targeted at. And you, as a legal administrator or an attorney running your own firm, are operating in that space, and it's not the primary tool that you work in every day. So a lot of folks are emailing their invoices via QuickBooks, either directly from there or via our integration with QuickBooks, without having necessarily a high degree of familiarity with how that all works. Um, Another way that invoices get delivered is through a firm email. So someone is opening up Outlook or Gmail and uploading all of their invoices, all of their expense receipts, writing out every email and sending it. And not necessarily everyone has access to the firm email to see what has been sent and confirm, like, okay, that's in the hands of the client. I know where to direct them to get that. And that's when you get a lot of questions from attorneys like, hey, did that go out? If so, which email did it go to? Which can like really bog down the process. Another issue, kind of like what I was talking about before, is when you have a disparate, like disjointed process like that, you are having to click between a bunch of different apps and do a lot of context switching, which we know legal administrators do well, but there is a limit to how much context switching a person can get done and still be working efficiently and not feel super frazzled. And then another issue that pops up, especially as a firm is scaling, going from, having maybe two or three attorneys to adding a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, or a firm that's already large and has a new like incoming volume of clients, is having to choose between the personalization, like that really close relationship with your clients, communicating about what to expect on their bill when they get it from your firm, what everything means, and being able to invoice at scale. As you add more and more people, more and more invoices, are working with more attorneys who want things just so, it's hard to compute all of those preferences and unique needs when it's time to invoice and you have that kind of volume. So we're going to talk about some things that can help alleviate some of the context switching, some of the like information gathering you have to do in the moment while you're working on invoicing to make this a little bit easier to scale, hopefully. And ultimately, if you were a like solo practitioner running your own law firm, you know that your time is valuable because you have a dollar amount like associated with it. And if you're a legal administrator working in a busy firm, you know your time is valuable because whatever you're doing, I guarantee there are 11 things, like 11 emails waiting for you when you get done with that, that you will also need to attend to or that you could be doing if you weren't, spending time working on kind of a, a workflow that may or may not be like optimized for your firm. So a lot of folks are kind of used to whatever they've been doing, and it's working for them, but don't stop to necessarily think about the bigger picture about like what is the thing you could be doing, if invoicing didn't take you 48 hours every month at the start of the month. What other things could you be getting ahead on or attending to instead? So I'm gonna go ahead and demo our existing functionality now and show that to you guys. This is gonna be turned on for some folks are already gonna have access to it. And for everyone else, it's gonna be a phased rollout over the next month. So if you're anything you see today, if you want to get access to it sooner, just reach out to either me or our support team. I'll have the email at the end that you can reach out to. But so if you don't see what I'm showing you on screen, it's just because it's not turned on for your firm yet. So most folks are gonna take their invoices through kind of the step-by-step process. You might have drafts and approved. You might just have drafts. Kind of depends on your firm size and your firm preferences. But once you get to the manage invoices page, you'll do one of two things, right? You might download the invoice for approval from someone else, or to make an edit in Adobe, and then send the invoice via Outlook or Gmail or something like that. So you're going to, open the email, find the client email, upload the invoice, write out the email. You probably have a template that you're copying from somewhere. Upload any expense attachments or work product that the client will need to get, probably a trust statement as well if you do trust accounting. And if you're getting paid through e-payments, you'll probably need to include a link from your e-payments provider as well, which you might need to generate. So already we're kind of at, I think, quite a few steps there. Um, and that's just for one invoice. And so now, you have 200 to get out. Just rinse and repeat, right? Uh, the workflow we're introducing now is the ability to send an email through LeanLaw's email service, um, and control all the variables like who it's going to, what the CC and BCCs are, the subject, the message, and optionally to enable or disable payment links that your client can use. This is going to make it uh, a lot easier for you because it's all the information that you need is here already. These pieces of information like the client name, the amount due, the due date are all being generated using LeanLaw's keywords. We'll get into in a moment. But this is information that you don't have to hunt for. It's available when you need it, and you can edit it here before sending it out. Being able to just preview and make edits to the invoice email from this page is a highly requested feature for quite a long time. It's really important, obviously, that the information you're sending out is correct, and the attachments are what you're expecting. So this invoice email is going to have the trust statement, the invoice PDF, and expense receipts that the client has requested. It will be available here when I send it. From the client's perspective, this is what they're going to see. So we have my firm's logo, all of this information, my payment links, and an account summary featuring like the balance forward, which is what the client already owes at the time I sent that invoice out. I didn't have to enter that information. It's populating automatically. New charges, which is what's actually owed on this new invoice I just got. And it looks like the firm paid $250 from my retainer from the client. So I know I had $500. There was a $250 payment, so I've got $250 left over. And I'm also reminded that this is my minimum retainer balance, so I don't owe anything to re-up my retainer yet. And these are all of my attachments. So with one click, I was able to verify all of the content of the invoice, um, the invoice email, and make sure that the attachments that I needed to go to the client were going out automatically without me having to hunt for them. They were just here. And the account summary gets generated without me having to do anything. It just has all of the information based on the existing invoices from QuickBooks. So that's the um, invoice your client is going to get, the invoice email. The kind of the key difference here from how things were, how this worked before to how it works now. Some people don't send any invoices out of LeanLaw or via email out of LeanLaw, so you might not be familiar with this. But before we were using QuickBooks email service, and so it looked kind of something like this. It would have the invoice attachment, and it would go to your client's inbox, and you didn't necessarily have a way to track it. So the formatting is going to look a little different. You're going to have a higher degree of customizability and some automations with what is getting attached when. So we hope that that is a useful tool for you, for your firm. Does anyone have any questions now while we're going? Let me see if I can. I might need to do Q&A here. Okay, I don't think we have any so far. Oh, let's see. Raised hands. Let's see. I don't know if I can allow folks to talk. Let's give it a try. Yeah, Fernando?
Yes, okay. Hi. You mentioned automations about when attachments would be, which and when attachments would be going with the
Mhm.
emails. By that, do you mean like if it's the first invoice going to a client, we can
Mhm.
automatically attach a W-9, for example, or what would that look like as to when?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So the automations that we have available right now are the invoice PDF attachment, the trust statement, and expense attachments. So if and expense attachments are available for pro firms, but in email settings, I'm able to choose which attachments are going to go automatically. I have the trust statement. The invoice always is attached and I have expense attachments for all clients turned on. So that means when I add an expense, either from Lean or from QuickBooks that syncs over with an expense, I can add attachments. Those will be available during the invoicing process and they'll be automatically sent to the client. Does that help?
Thank you.
And let's see. Okay. And I think Lynn might have a question. Hey, Lynn.
Hello. I'm just wondering, I draft my boss likes to customize the emails.
Mhm.
How do I save the email so that after he reviews it, I could go back in and do it?
Oh, that's a great question. So, it's kind of a two-step process where you might draft it and send it to your boss and he reviews it and then you actually send it to the client.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. And we've had a couple firms who have kind of asked about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
What I would recommend in that case is to remove the client emails from here, send it directly to your boss, and you can make the subject something like, invoice 1080 asking for feedback or asking for approval,
Mm-hmm.
and then get the response from him over email, and make any changes. He could come back here when you open it again, it'll
Mm-hmm.
have like the original template and the original client emails, and you can send it at that point. We're looking into ways to make this process a little more collaborative. So, like, it would be kind of a draft email that a couple people could look at and approve and send out right from Lean Law. So, I'll definitely be sure to kind of record your firm's interest in that. It sounds like you could use it.
Right. That's what I do for my boss. I draft the
Yeah.
emails, he takes a look at them, gives them back to me. But when I go back in, I have to make the
Mhm.
same changes that I made before. Is there
Right.
any way of saving for that particular client what I did?
Yeah, there's not currently a way to save a draft in Lean Law, but it's exciting to hear that that's something that you would utilize because we have been
Oh,
looking
I
into
would
that
love
as a
it. I would love it
yeah,
because I do that all the time. I do that
yeah,
all the time. And it's a
yeah,
pretty big volume of it. Okay. So, I
yeah,
mean, every time I go back in after he makes changes, I got to do it all over again. You know what I mean? It's double
totally,
work.
totally. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. That's good to hear. I mean, not that you're dealing with that now, but that's a feature that you would utilize because it's something we've heard before as
I
well.
would definitely, absolutely utilize it.
Awesome. Thank you,
Okay.
Lynn. Yeah,
Yeah,
great
because my
question.
boss is the Mr. Hogendorn, and he sends out a lot of invoices
Oh,
through,
yeah, I bet.
okay?
Yeah.
And that would be wonderful if I could go back in and find my changes to it
Hmm.
or his changes to it. And then
Totally.
I could just get it out, you know.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. That's good to
Okay.
hear. Thanks, Lynn.
Okay. All right. You're welcome.
All right. And it looks like we got another question. What domain is shown for email sent from Lean Law? Um, so the sender email and the reply to email is going to be whatever you set in your email settings. On the actual invoice itself, since we're not setting up an alias service with your specific email address, that protects you from that protects like your email reputation and enables us to use a service called SendGrid so that we can sorry, I have a little construction going on. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it enables us to use a service called SendGrid, which monitors our email reputation and make sure we're not ending up in people's spam folders, stuff like that. The email domain for the actual email is going to be don'treply@leanlaw.io. And if your firm, or I'm sorry, if your client, um, say says has a question and wants to ask it, and they hit reply, it'll go to the sender email, which is in this case Melissa@myleanlaw.com. Let's see. And let's see, we got another question. Do we have the capability to go back to the email prior to sending if I've forgotten something on the email? So I think that might be something that might be a similar question to what Lynn was asking. We don't currently have drafting capabilities, but like once you send it, it's sent. What we do have is by default, we're going to send a copy, which means we'll CC you, whoever the user is, on all of the invoice emails. So unless you disable that, you'll get a copy, which you can review. And if something is off, you can like either, just resend it from LeanLaw or reply to the invoice email from your own email, wherever this is going, with a correction. Have you found that emails get sent to individual spam often? No. I think our rate of delivery is pretty high, and healthy for what, like 99th percentile. That's something that we continuously monitor, so we can avoid, situations where an invoice email is sent to spam and the client doesn't know about it. Um, but happy to share. Tracy, I think Tracy asked that. I can follow up with you after with some more specific information on that. Let's see. Okay, I think that's all the questions I'm seeing for right now. I think we have a specific question from HT Law. I'll follow up with Lynn afterwards on this. I don't know. I think that was an anonymous question, but I'll follow up after on your firm's specific settings. Yeah. So the other like functionality that we have that's helpful for dealing with the questions that, operators or billing coordinators get from attorneys or people they're working with, like, hey, did that get sent out? All of your trust requests, invoice emails, and reminders are going to be in your track sent emails portion of lien law. So you'll be able to review here, okay, Melissa got that trust request and she opened it. And you can select everything that's like unpaid and maybe older than a month and send reminders really quickly. So all of those emails are going to get a reminder saying, hey, this is still outstanding, and the payment link and the information is going to be at the top of their inbox again, which is super helpful. And I think I'm going to get about 20 notifications now because those were all real emails to myself. But that's super helpful. It's really nice to be able to stay kind of in sync when you're working on a large team, or even just working on your own, keeping track of the work that you've done. Let's see. Give another question. Okay. So I think just kind of to recap some of the stuff that we've already talked about, it's helpful, like as a firm, to use tools that are meant for you. QuickBooks is amazing. That's what we've built our integration on top of. And it's also a tool that's primarily for accountants. Lien law is built for lawyers and legal administrators. So we're hoping that this tooling can provide you with the information that you need when you need it, without having to like hunt for it, and make this process a little easier and more streamlined. The second thing is to centralize the source of truth. So having something like the track sent emails page where you can review everything that's been sent out and send reminders as needed and direct people there so that you don't have to look in your own email, to verify what's been sent out or check QuickBooks or something that not everyone has access to. And using automations like our email settings template, and the keywords that go along with that, and attachment settings, to just automatically attach things like the trust statement, without having to work super hard on it, will save you a lot of time in the long run. Do we have other, ooh, we might have some other, do we have other questions? I don't know. Okay, don't think think we do. Okay. Okay, actually we do. Sorry. Can you tell us my first webinar in a while? Let's see. The email template you had up on the screen had the invoice balance due. Is there a way to attach a statement on account with all invoices owed? So that's a great question. What we have right now is the account summary, um, and which will kind of just aggregate all of the invoices that they have available, that are outstanding. An account statement, I think a lot of folks will like generate something from QuickBooks or type something out, that shows like each invoice and maybe each payment. That's something that we've heard from a couple firms that they're wanting, like just to be able to generate something more granular like that and attach it. It's not something we have available right now, but I'm happy to kind of record that as a feature request and talk more about like what you would want to see on that, because I think there are some things that change sort of depending on firm preferences. See, see. Can we call back an email with the invoice if it has not been opened? So no, if you've sent a email, um if you sent an email out, and it's been delivered, there's no way to like call it back from the other person's inbox. Um I think, if you use a service like Gmail, and you send an invoice, there are a couple seconds where you can press, or send an invoice, send an email. There are a couple seconds where you can press undo, and the actual email hasn't been sent yet. It's just kind of hanging out in an outbox for a moment. Um, but that is definitely an interesting idea. So uh, I'll note that down. Yeah, and let's see, there's a question from Rebecca Thomas. Will these new features be available without the utilization of lien law payments? Yeah, so the being able to send invoice emails, and customize them, from lien law, that is going to be available for everyone, regardless of your subscription tier or anything like that. Being able to use payment links and have payments, like from your clients flow directly into QuickBooks automatically and have that balance update automatically, you will need to use our integration with Confido. I'm happy to, I think, once we kind of wrap up this Q&A, I'm going to jump into that if we have time, just kind of an overview of what that is. But that, yeah, that will be available for everyone. But the being able to send emails. You have the option to copy the payment link. Is there going to be a copy link for the balance due? Yeah, that's a good question, Cody. So I think what Cody's talking about is on the Manage Invoices page. When I have our lien laws integration with Confido enabled, I'm able to copy a payment link here, and it's going to be the payment link for the amount, um, the amount due on the invoice. It won't include the full uh, client or matter balance. Um, that is that's a good question. I think we have a firm who has requested that before, and it might even be yours. Um, we didn't make that available because there were some complexities with um, when like aggregating the payment links kind of on a moment to moment basis versus when you're sending out the invoice email. Um, but I'd love to hear more about what you would use that for. So I'll be sure to follow up with you after this and get some more context there. Awesome. Cool. Okay, does anyone have any other questions before we move on to talk about the integration with Confido, which is our payments partner? So that's payment links, e-payments, um, all of that good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna unmute Fernando. I don't know if you still mean to have your hand raised. I'll let you unmute for a little bit. We'll double check. Fernando. Okay, that might have been, we just left the hand raised. Webinars are so fun. Awesome. Um, okay, guys. All right. So, um, so that's kind of that's just a review of what's coming for message customization for like the new email UI. Um, the main change to like keep in mind and be aware of are that, let's see, whoops. Okay. The main thing to keep in mind is that the email service is changing. So starting, in uh, on April 21st, everyone is going to be on the new UI and have access to be able to send customized emails through Leanlaw without having to open up QuickBooks. And that means that the email service is changing. So we'll have um, the ability to add your logo, your template, and all of that good stuff. And from your client's perspective, it's going to look a little different. So that's the thing to be prepared for. If you have concerns about that or questions about implementation, anything like that, please reach out to me, Melissa at myleanlaw.com, or our support team. We're happy to help you with that. That's why we're doing a phased rollout so that we can be sure to, answer questions on an individual basis when people have them. But we're definitely excited for you guys to try this out. So if that's all of the questions on that for now, I'm just gonna kind of breeze through some information about our integration with Confido Legal really quick. So Confido is our payments partner. They're, they enable us to create these payment links that are associated with the amount due on the invoice, or in the client or matter balance, depending on which accounting level you're at, for that given client or matter. The payments are mapped directly to QuickBooks, and associated with the invoice so that the invoice balance updates for you on your side, and in your client's email when they open this payment link again, the payment will reflect what they owe in that moment, not whatever the old amount was before they made a payment. And the pricing for this is pretty standard for the industry. Credit and debit cards are 2.95%. ACH is 1% with a $30 cap. And again, all of this is optional. So if you're not interested in using payment links, this is not a requirement to be able to send invoice emails. but we think that it helps with some of the automation, like being able to create those payments in QuickBooks automatically instead of having to record them manually like you might be used to. And the payment links themselves are created automatically. So you don't need to open a second service to get those set up and send them to your client. The process for actually setting that up is pretty simple. It's just a Confida legal application. You can access it by going to lien law settings and Confida legal. If you haven't used it before, there will be an option to sign up to learn more. And you'll create a email and password, and the application will be there for you to fill out. The information is similar to what you would provide if you were using a different payments processing service. So information about the owners, about how much payments processing you think you'll need so that you can get approved for the right amount, and the bank accounts where those payments will be deposited. If you're just using our service for operating payments or invoice payments, you'll just need to provide your operating account. But if you do trust accounting, like a lot of our firms, you'll provide your trust account as well, and trust deposits can be routed there so that they're not stopping in your operating account, which can cause issues if you get audited, depending on the state that you're in. The fee for Confida Legal is just the pricing on each actual transaction. So there's no flat fee per transaction. There's no monthly fee. So there's not really a risk for you if you start using it and find you go through a period where you don't need it. There's no monthly fee or commitment. And all the functionality is otherwise included with your lien law subscription. So once you fill out the Confida Legal application, the next step is that it'll get approved, or if they need more information from you, they'll reach out to get it. And once it's live, you can set up the invoice email, reminders, trust requests. Trust requests are the only thing that I've shown today that you need a Confida integration to use. They're not like invoices, they need a payment link to be associated with them to be able to be sent through our email service. But invoice emails and reminders will be available regardless. Does anyone have questions about that? Oh, let's see. I missed a question from Tracy. Is the invoice still created in QBO? Or so the invoice is still sent to QuickBooks. It's still available there. When emails are being sent through Lien Law's email service, we're attaching the QuickBooks invoice to the email. Let me show you. This is the very, very, very basic QuickBooks boilerplate invoice, but we just attach whatever your firm settings are in QuickBooks. That's the invoice that we attach. Does that answer your question, Tracy? If we have Confida but want to send the invoice through QBO instead of Lien Law, will the payment link be on the QBO invoice? So the payment link is in the Lien Law email. I'd love to learn more about what that process is. So Tracy, I'll be sure to follow up with you after this and kind of get some more insight on what you're doing there, and see if we can meet that need. Awesome. So in terms of scheduling for this, the email customization UI that I just showed is going to be available for everyone by 4/21. If you want it sooner, or you see it now, that's you're just part of the first phase of our rollout. But if you want it sooner, reach out to support@myleanlaw.com or me, Melissa, at myleanlaw.com, and we'll be happy to get that set up for you. And additionally, if you want like more information about Confido, or the integration there with payment links, let me know, and I can help you with that as well. I think, unless we have any other questions, I think we are good to go. But thank you guys so much. Wait, oh, might have one more in the chat. Will we be sharing this? Yes, everyone, including people who weren't here but signed up, will get a recording of this afterwards. They're going to make global changes in invoices. I'm not sure. Fernando, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Could you um find and replace? Oh, okay, yeah, good question. So I think Fernando is asking, like, is there a way to use like find and replace in like invoices when you're in the drafts tab or something like that? And there isn't currently, but that's an interesting idea. We'll be sure to record that kind of in our feature request pipeline. Let's see. The full balance is just for the invoice balance or the full balance due on the matter, all open invoices. Okay, yeah, so the full balance payment link will generate if you have an amount in QuickBooks that's due for the client, like if I'm on receivables, and I'm looking at, let's see, who have we been picking on today? So Jorge has a few different invoices outstanding. So even though so he's got 1080, he has some due on that, and 1079, he has some due on that. So the full balance is for all of these amounts added up. The invoice balance would just be for 850. Just whatever the new charges for that specific invoice are. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for coming today. Like I said, we'll have a recording out to everyone who signed up, I think later today or tomorrow, that you can review at your leisure. And if you have questions, please reach out to support or me if you have any concerns, or kind of like corner cases you want to think about as we're switching over to this new email service. I hope that this like saves you time, and is helpful for you and your firm. But I appreciate all the good questions everyone came with, and I'll be following up with a couple people afterwards directly as well. Thank you. Have a good one.